6 months prior to the Bitcoin halving. We should be acquiring, buying, waiting for this kind of rally. And interestingly enough, our call on TRI site is that into November 2025, we get some sort of crazy blow off top in crypto through here. So I personally think that we are, comparatively speaking, we are right about here, somewhere in there, 1983. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of a pullback. I also wouldn't be surprised if they wait till the end of the year and then into the beginning of the new year. That's where you get sort of your recessionary talk. Does it come actually into the fall of this particular year? I don't know. That's a tough one. Of course, we know that if you are a crypto enthusiast, right about here is where the halving event is, and you should be basically 6 months prior to the Bitcoin halving. We should be acquiring, buying, waiting for this kind of rally. And interestingly enough, our call on TRI site is that into November 2025, we get some sort of crazy blow off top in crypto through here. Now, what we might find, and actually it might make sense actually that we are, we might even be kind of like there. Tough one. Because we did go through a pretty substantial correction, maybe even sort of like in this area. I don't know. Anyway, somewhere in there. I do kind of like the idea that maybe even the fall of 2025 is like the fall of 1987. But, as you can see from this chart, all this was a crash in 1987, but it really wasn't. It was just the market doing a 50% retracement off of the bottom from the previous cycle. So if we fast forward to today, I think that this low, this high, I think that's your similar bottom, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, all that kind of idea. And if we just drew like a horizontal line, say like right there, that's probably some sort of bottom. So same sort of thing as your 1987 scenario. So if we're expecting a 50% retracement of whatever this floor is, then theoretically what we could do is draw up where is 50% level, something like that. That would be that top there. But believe it or not, actually, and then we're thinking rally peak into 7. Something along those lines, maybe, well, we said 25, didn't we? So somewhere like there. Ironically enough, I actually could see over the next few years, we have some sort of big blow off top, then the market slams down into 50% levels, and then this is labeled a big crash in our society. You might even find that Bitcoin itself, following that next halving event, just has an absolutely horrific crash in price. That wouldn't surprise me either. There are some people in our society that are calling for this dump back down against these lows now, but I don't know. It's not the right part of the cycle for that to happen. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. What I really wanted to show you was what happened in the 1940s, because I think this is really more appropriate for this particular cycle. So if we go back and we look what happened in the 1940s, and remember we talked about that ugly inflation push in like 46, 47, 48. So this is what I think we're in store for. Where are we on this picture? If it was just the same year comparison, then here's 1943 there, which means, and kind of like what we're thinking, notice this is April, May of 46. We're expecting into November, December 2025. That's where our Bitcoin peak should come. And, just like the recent Bitcoin peak, right? We know if we go back over here, usually these crypto markets like to top out into the end of the year. I think that this was the end of the cycle. This was just extra fluff. Actually, no, I guess that makes sense. I beg your pardon. At November 21, I think that was because it was like 17 was the peak, 21 was the peak, and that means that 25 should be the peak, right? So the fall of 25, and then boom, down we go. So if we go back and look at that Dow chart, there is the fall of 45. In this particular case, you can see the stock market actually moved a bit higher. But what do you think the odds are that was on a nice divergence? I bet it was. If I load up things like divergence tools, though, I bet this thing's going to crash. So I'm not going to go there. But you want some fun. Do yourself a favor. Go look at how price acted. As I said, our crypto cycle peak, I like the idea of like December. This is 45, 25. I like that kind of thinking. Stock market takes another 6 months or so to actually roll over. And then unfortunately, this is that next inflationary awfulness. Even from these peaks, if we draw a fib going back down, then interesting, it didn't quite make 50%. This would be the same sort of scenario as the 1987 crash. So 87, it did do a 50% correction. In 46, 47, not quite, but pretty damn close. And then you might even argue that, well, you know what this really is? This is Colin and his bump chasers right in there. I guess what I'm trying to say here is if we're thinking relatively speaking, yeah, and actually this kind of makes sense, right? So where are we here? March, April, May, June. So we're right into here. The May, June, if anything, we could see the stock market go to new highs and then pull back into the end of the year. That wouldn't surprise me, just to piss everybody off. That sets up the base, and then we get ready for that next just monster rally. And if anything, this also makes sense because this is 6 months ahead of the happening event, right? So this would be like November, somewhere down in that area, in October, November, the end of October, stock market crashes, whatever, Bitcoin dumps, right? And everybody's all like, oh, it's the end of the world. And it sets up the base, and there is your next 2-year rally in risk assets as the Fed is perceived to be done raising interest rates. So if I was going to do a comparison study, what do I think our future is going to look like? I think it's actually going to look exactly like this. So go figure.